The shamanic roots of mind control. South Korea hides the largest concentration of dangerous cults on the planet, where technology and religious fanaticism mix in a deadly way. What city are you watching from? Because what you're about to discover about South Korea will shatter your vision of this technologically advanced country. In the next few minutes, you'll discover exactly how sects that control billion-dollar companies, mass suicide rituals, and shamans who determine national policy function in the country the world considers the most modern in Asia. Number 1. Mudang, shamans who control presidents and businessmen. While the world sees South Korea as a technological powerhouse, the country is secretly governed by shamans called Mudang, who control presidential decisions and determine strategies of billion-dollar companies like Samsung and LG through spiritual possession rituals that happen regularly in government palaces. The Mudang are women who claim to be possessed by Korean ancestral spirits and have direct access to the highest levels of government. Former President Park Geun-hye was sentenced to prison in 2017 after it was discovered that she consulted a shaman named Jeoseung Saja for all important government decisions, including declarations of war and international economic agreements. The scandal revealed that Jeoseung Saja had access to ultra-confidential presidential documents, participated in national security meetings without any official position, and approved ministerial appointments based exclusively on shamanic rituals performed in ancient cemeteries during new moon. She completely controlled the president through alleged communications with the spirit of Park Geun-hye's father. But the Park Geun-hye case was not isolated. All Korean presidents, since 1960, regularly consulted shamans for decisions about war against North Korea, national economic policy, and international diplomatic relations. Investigations revealed that North Korea infiltrated shamans as spiritual spies to influence South Korean politics for more than 5 consecutive decades. Furthermore, the Mudang's control goes beyond government and corporations. There exists a hidden network that manages the destinies of powerful families and celebrities through systematic spiritual manipulations. Public figures like K-drama actors, K-pop singers, and Olympic athletes frequently consult Mudang for critical personal decisions, including million-dollar contracts, career strategies, and even romantic partner choices. Number 2. Sinbyeong, the shamanic disease that creates spiritual slaves. The most disturbing aspect of Korean shamanism is Sinbyeong, a shamanic disease that transforms normal women into spiritual slaves who lose total control over their own lives and must unconditionally obey ancestral spirits that possess them through forced initiation rituals. Sinbyeong manifests through terrifying visual hallucinations, constant voices of dead ancestors, uncontrollable convulsions that last for hours, and extreme personality changes that make women abandon families and live isolated in shamanic temples. Korean doctors officially recognize this condition, but cannot treat it because it doesn't respond to traditional psychiatric medications or Western therapies. Hit like if you have the courage to discover what happens to women who try to resist the shamanic calling. Women diagnosed with Sinbyeong must accept becoming Mudang or will suffer for the rest of their lives with symptoms that include inexplicable physical pain throughout the body, constant nightmares with furious ancestors, and complete social isolation because families reject them as cursed. Once they accept the spiritual calling, they lose personal autonomy and must perform any ritual the spirits command, regardless of personal consequences. The shamanic initiation process involves symbolic death rituals where the woman is buried alive for up to 18 consecutive hours, fasts for weeks until nearly dying of malnutrition, and cuts specific parts of her own body as offering to ancestral spirits. Official statistics show that 30% of women die during initiation and are considered inadequate to serve the ancestors. Sinbyeong, despite being recognized by Korean academic medicine as a distinct disorder, is still wrapped in absolute social taboo. Many women with symptoms end up socially marginalized, and the cultural stigma prevents them from seeking help outside shamanic circles, perpetuating cycles of suffering and submission that extend through entire family generations. Number 3. Corporate mass possession rituals. Cut are shamanic ceremonies where dozens of people are possessed simultaneously by Korean ancestral spirits in rituals that last 3 entire days without interruption. These are not marginal religious events. They are officially financed by major companies and attended by ministers of the Korean government. During a cut, participants enter controlled collective trance, speak ancestral languages they don't know, prophesy specific future events with impressive details, and receive detailed instructions from spirits about multi-million-dollar business decisions and government strategies. CEOs of the largest Korean corporations regularly participate in these rituals as official spiritual consultancy. Samsung, LG, and Hyundai finance annual cut that cost millions of dollars where shamans consult corporate ancestors about global expansion strategies, revolutionary product launches, and international investment decisions. Executives make decisions affecting billions of dollars based exclusively on spiritual revelations received during ritual possessions. In addition to the annual cut of tech giants, other smaller corporations also adopted the practice, seeking the same spiritual protection for their businesses. Small and medium enterprises in various sectors reported significant increases in profits after adopting shamanic schedules for critical strategic decisions. Number 4. Jeoseung Saja, death spirits that control destinies. Korean shamanic mythology is dominated by Jeoseung Saja, death spirits that determine exactly when and how each person will die. These spirits can be bribed through extremely specific rituals to alter predetermined destinies or transfer programmed deaths from one person to another through spiritual contracts. Specialist Mudang claim to be able to negotiate directly with Jeoseung Saja to save lives of wealthy clients or cause specific deaths of chosen people through destiny transfer rituals that involve human blood and bones of dead people. Extremely wealthy families pay millions of won for shamans to transfer terminal illnesses from relatives to selected poor people or imprisoned criminals. This system created an organized black market of destiny transfers where financially desperate people literally sell their remaining vital energies to specialized shamans who resell them to millionaire clients. Poor people literally die in place of the rich through spiritual contracts written in human blood and validated by cemetery rituals. Korean hospitals officially recognize cases of death by shamanic transference when patients die without any medical explanation immediately after their families bought spiritual protection from Mudang. Doctors regularly find bodies of people who died simultaneously in completely different places without identifiable causes by modern medicine. The Jeoseung Saja, despite being mythical figures, have a real and measurable impact on South Korean public health. Hospital data indicates that regions with higher incidence of rituals related to these spirits present superior rates of unexplained deaths and psychological pathologies, especially among vulnerable elderly and people in extreme poverty situations. Modern cults and mass suicides. Number 5. Shincheonji, the cult that infected Korea with COVID-19. The Shincheonji Church is not just a dangerous cult. It was directly responsible for spreading COVID-19 throughout South Korea, causing thousands of deaths through ritual practices that deliberately violated public health protocols during the 2020 global pandemic. Shincheonji believes that its leader Lee Man-hee is Jesus Christ reincarnated, and that only 144,000 members will be saved during the apocalypse. To be saved, each member must recruit specific people determined through divine revelations received by Lee Man-hee during extreme fasts that last up to 40 consecutive days. Would you live in a city where a cult caused a pandemic to fulfill biblical prophecies? During 2020, Shincheonji ordered members to participate in ceremonies even with severe COVID-19 symptoms because God would protect the chosen ones against any earthly disease. They systematically lied to health authorities, hid complete lists of infected members, and continued secret meetings that became massive superspreader events. Government investigations revealed that Shincheonji had 245,000 active members in 2020, including doctors, nurses, and public officials who deliberately sabotaged sanitary measures because they believed COVID-19 was the final divine test to separate chosen from sinners before the imminent apocalypse. The cult developed specific strategies to intentionally contaminate the general population, including infected members frequenting hospitals, schools, and public transport without protection. He declared that virus cannot touch the anointed, and that members who died were not true believers. Number 6. JMS, sexual cult that enslaves university women. Providence, officially Jesus Morning Star, is a sexual cult commanded by Jeoseung Saja that sexually enslaves thousands of university students through purification rituals that involve systematic and organized rape disguised as sacred ceremonies. Jeoseung Saja convinced followers that he is the sexual messiah sent by God to purify women through sexual relations. During 30 years of activity, he raped more than 10,000 women systematically, including hundreds of minors and international students from Asian countries. The cult specifically recruits at elite Korean, Japanese, and Chinese universities, offering fake study scholarships, non-existent job opportunities, and fraudulent exchange programs to attract talented young people who are gradually manipulated through advanced psychological techniques until accepting sexual purification ceremonies. Victims are forced to maintain absolute silence through systematic psychological blackmail and direct threats against their families. Jeoseung Saja records all rapes on video and uses these recordings to control victims for years after leaving the cult. Many develop severe mental disorders, including post-traumatic stress disorder, and some commit suicide. Number 7. Dami Mission, end-of-world prophecy that caused suicides. In 1992, the Dami Mission cult led by Lee Jae-rim convinced 100,000 Koreans that the world would end on October 28, 1992, causing organized mass suicides, deliberate family bankruptcies, and child abandonment by parents who completely believed the prophecy. Lee Jae-rim calculated the specific date using complex biblical numerology and prophetic visions that he claimed to receive during extreme fasts of up to 21 consecutive days. He convinced followers to sell all properties, abandon permanent jobs, and prepare for apocalypse by donating absolutely everything to the cult. When the date arrived and nothing happened, hundreds of families were completely financially destroyed. 64 people committed suicide in the months following the prophecy's failure, including children who were poisoned by their own parents to avoid suffering during apocalypse that never came. The most shocking thing is that Lee Jae-rim knew the prophecy was false, but continued promoting because he accumulated millions of dollars through salvation donations. After the failure, he fled to the United States with the stolen money and was never extradited to face Korean justice. Number 8. Unification Movement, church that controls global economy. Subscribe to the channel and discover more about how cults destroy entire societies. The Unification Movement, Unification Church, founded by Sun Myung Moon, controlled Korean politics and economy for decades through mass-arranged marriages and front companies that financed secret operations in the United States and influenced elections in multiple countries. Moon convinced followers that he and his wife were true parents of humanity, and that arranged marriages by him would literally save the human race from satanic contamination. He performed massive ceremonies where thousands of couples married simultaneously without ever having seen each other before the ceremony. Cult companies included military weapons manufacturers, national circulation newspapers, private universities, and even professional soccer teams. Moon financed American politicians and influenced American foreign policy regarding North Korea through organized religious lobbying that operated in Washington, D.C. Federal investigations revealed that Moon laundered billions of dollars through religious donations that were systematically transferred to offshore personal accounts and lucrative business investments. He lived as absolute emperor in luxurious mansions while followers worked for free in his companies and donated entire salaries to the cult. The Unification Movement infiltrated governments of 40 different countries through strategically placed members in key government positions. Declassified documents revealed direct connections with intelligence agencies and money laundering operations that financed dictatorships in Latin America during the 1970s and 1980s. Corporate and political control through cults. Number 9. Samsung and corporate shamanism. Samsung, South Korea's largest company, make strategic decisions based on shamanic consultations and corporate rituals that mix modern technology with ancestral superstitions in a completely institutionalized way through official departments dedicated exclusively to corporate spiritual affairs. Lee Kuan-hee, former Samsung president, consulted shamans monthly for product decisions, billion-dollar corporate acquisitions, and global market strategies. Samsung executives carry amulets given by specialized Mudang and perform specific rituals before important international negotiations. Samsung headquarters was built following rigorous feng shui principles determined by hired shamans, with secret altars on executive floors where corporate ceremonies are performed weekly to guarantee success of new products. Smartphone launches are timed based on shamanic calendars that determine energetically favorable dates. Internal investigations revealed that Samsung maintains official department of corporate spiritual affairs with annual budget of $50 million for regular shamanic consultations, personalized corporate amulets, and protection rituals against supernatural business competition. Number 10. LG and technological innovation rituals. LG Corporation developed institutionalized ritual system where engineers mandatorily participate in shamanic ceremonies before developing technologies because they believe ancestral spirits can inspire revolutionary innovations through controlled possessions during spiritual brainstorming sessions. LG research laboratories have permanent shamanic altars where engineers make daily offerings before important technological projects. They fervently believe that Korean ancestors guide scientific discoveries through prophetic dreams and technical visions received during mandatory shamanic meditation. LG patented more than 50,000 inventions that executives partially attribute to ancestral spiritual guidance received during monthly corporate rituals. They time product launches based on specific lunar phases and shamanic dates determined by millenary spiritual calendars. LG research centers employ resident shamans who channel innovations through possession rituals where spirits of dead inventors supposedly transmit technical knowledge to living engineers during wisdom transfer ceremonies. Number 11. Hyundai and automotive spirituality. Hyundai spiritually consecrates each automobile model through elaborate shamanic rituals that bless machines to protect drivers and guarantee global sales. Each car carries invisible amulets installed during manufacturing ceremonies performed by technology-specialized shamans. Hyundai factories have permanent resident shamans who perform daily rituals on the production line to energize vehicles with specific spiritual protection. Workers mandatorily participate in morning ceremonies before work shifts where they invoke ancestors to guide their hands during assembly. Hyundai exports cars with specific amulets for different countries based on local spiritual traditions researched by shamanic anthropologists. Cars sold in Brazil receive protection against Latin negative energies, while cars for the United States are blessed for financial prosperity. Hyundai executives claim that sales increase 30% in regions where consecration rituals are performed correctly, proving automotive spirituality effectiveness for measurable commercial success. Number 12. Political control through shamanic secret societies. The National Council of Shamans of South Korea functions as organized secret society that influences national elections, appoints ministers, and determines foreign policy through coordinated network of Mudang who receive guidance from dead presidential spirits during political necromancy sessions. Presidential candidates must be spiritually approved by the council before official electoral campaign. Shamans consult spirits of dead ex-presidents to determine if candidates have spiritual destiny to govern South Korea during selection rituals that last 3 consecutive days. Government ministries have permanent official shamans who guide public policies through mandatory weekly rituals where they receive detailed instructions about national legislation, federal budget, and international diplomatic relations. Korean diplomats use specific shamanic amulets during critical negotiations. Korean parliament performs official opening ceremonies where shamans purify energy of legislators and connect the government with Korean ancestral will. Important laws are approved only after spiritual confirmation, through consultation rituals performed in government cemeteries during full moon. The most shocking is that national budget allocates $500 million annually for government spiritual security, including official shaman salaries, national protection rituals, and amulets for public officials. This money could finance hospitals or schools, but is wasted on institutionalized superstitions. The resistance and final reflection. Number 13. The digital revolution. Young Koreans against cults. A new generation of educated young Koreans is organizing digital resistance against cults and shamanism that controlled the country for decades. They use advanced technology that Korea itself developed to expose and combat the superstitions that limit social progress and waste national resources. Online movements like Korea Free Mind already have more than 5 million followers who share evidence of how cults destroy families, systematically document shamanic abuses, and educate about scientific critical thinking. They created applications to identify cult practices and alert users about sect recruiters. Elite universities like Seoul National University offer cultural deconstruction programs that teach students to question irrational traditions and separate genuine culture from control systems. Professors report massive transformations in student mentality with abandonment of superstitions in favor of scientific rationality. Young Koreans abandon shamanic practices, confront parents who spend fortunes on useless rituals, and refuse to consult Mudang for important decisions. They prove they can succeed using education and rationality instead of costly superstitions. Tech startups founded by skeptical youth show 300% superior growth to companies that depend on shamanic consultancy. Number 14. The price of technological superstition. Trillions wasted. South Korea loses trillions of won annually because companies make decisions based on shamanism instead of scientific analysis. Revolutionary technological projects are canceled for spiritual reasons. Innovations are delayed to await shamanic signals, and investments are lost through ancestral consultancy. Families spend on average 40% of income on shamanic consultations, corporate amulets, and protection rituals instead of investing in real education for children. This systematic spiritual dependence keeps society hostage to supernatural exploiters who get rich through popular ignorance. Korean health system loses patience because families prefer shamanic treatments to modern medicine. Companies fail because executives consult spirits instead of business specialists. Foreign policy is compromised by shamanic revelations that harm international relations. Bank of Korea estimates that eliminating shamanic dependence would increase national GDP by 60% in a decade and transform the country into the absolute greatest technological power worldwide. Superstitions cost more than all national infrastructure combined. Number 15. Christianity versus shamanism. Modern spiritual war. Korean Christian churches wage spiritual war against traditional shamanism through mass liberations, where they exorcise shamanic spirits from people possessed by ancestors. This war created religious violence that divides families and paralyzes communities through spiritual conflicts. Evangelical pastors perform liberation ceremonies in packed stadiums where thousands of people are simultaneously liberated from shamanic influence. They burn amulets and destroy ancestral altars in public rituals that attract crowds of desperate people. Shamans respond with Christian curses directed at specific churches, causing spiritual wars, where both sides claim that the other is causing misfortunes through supernatural attacks. Hospitals report increase in psychological disorders in regions with intense spiritual conflicts. This religious war results in real violence. Churches are burned, shamans are physically attacked, families divide between Christianity and shamanism, creating social conflict that paralyzes entire communities and prevents cooperation to solve real problems. Number 16. Global awakening. South Korea and the future of humanity. What happens in South Korea is crucial for humanity's future because it shows how technologically advanced societies can remain controlled by ancestral superstitions that prevent real progress and waste human potential. Korea proves that technology alone doesn't liberate societies from spiritual control systems. Artificial intelligence, smartphones, and internet can coexist with primitive shamanism if population doesn't develop scientific critical thinking and quality education. Other countries face similar challenges. China, where feng shui influences urban architecture. Japan, where superstitions control business. United States, where astrology affects political decisions. No society is immune to superstitious control if it doesn't invest in critical education. Humanity's future depends on societies learning to separate technological progress from a rational spiritual dependence. South Korea can be the first country to completely achieve this transformation or remain hostage to dead ancestors who control decisions of living people. Final reflection. After learning about these 16 dark aspects of South Korean spirituality, one question remains. How does one of the most technologically advanced societies on the planet still allow shamans to control national decisions? South Korea proves that technological progress and superstitious dependence can coexist in a destructive way. 50 million people live in a hybrid society where smartphones coexist with ancestral rituals and artificial intelligence is blessed by shamanic spirits. And you? In what aspects of your life does advanced technology coexist with superstitions that might just be disguised control systems? The price of mixing progress with superstition is limited development and wasted human potential. South Korea could lead humanity in innovation, but waste resources on useless rituals. The final question is, will we manage to use our technology to overcome ancestral superstitions, or will we allow shamans from the past to control our digital future? If this content made you question how traditions limit progress, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments. What superstitions from your culture would you abandon to accelerate your personal development? And don't forget to turn on notifications, because next week we're going to reveal the dark secrets of another country that will completely shock you. See you next time.